Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome to today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on podcast, thank you so much. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got a hot one today. Now, I know I say that every single time, but today's topic is so hot because it came from one of our supporters, one of our family members who said, hey, can you go a little bit deeper on this topic? And so I love to hear back from you. In fact, link down in the show notes, I've got my website, my email address there. I want us to build a community that's so close that you don't mind talking to me, just like I don't mind talking to you. So once again, today's topic is a hot one. It came from an important individual, as all of us are important, that really wants to dive a little bit deeper to see why it's so difficult for us to stay consistent. But before we get there, don't you forget that the book of the month is the book right to my left. That's right, Atomic Habits, talking about how we can make small decisions every day and get big results. I'm talking about how every single day we can make 1, 2, or 3 moves that will result in us building a life that's filled with discipline, a life that's filled with direction, and a life that's filled with purpose. So as we move forward, you know what we're doing as a family. We're going to go every day. We're going to go, we're going to grow, and we're going to glow. But to get there, it takes guidance, it takes direction, and it takes some habits that are atomic. Some habits that's going to help you move forward and move closer to your goal. So as we get ready for today's show, let's go ahead and have a word of prayer as we move forward. God, we thank you for a new day. We thank you that we can just simply breathe in and breathe out. Thank you so much for your divine covering, for your divine protection, and most importantly, thank you for your divine direction. Bless my friend right now who may be traveling down the road to work or to school or to the gym or to the grocery store. Give them traveling mercies. Bless my friend right now that has to make a very important decision today. May they feel your hand in their lives. May they feel your hand leading them and guiding them. Bless my friend right now who's having a difficult time in their marriage, in their relationship. I pray that you would cover them, that you would lead them, you would guide them. Most importantly, let them hear from you today is our prayer. In your name, amen. Amen. Once again, thank you again for joining in for today's show. And we're going to talk a little bit about this big word called consistency. How many of you right now can say, now, I don't know where you are right now listening to this podcast episode, but I want to ask you a very important question. Can you honestly say that in your life, you've been consistent? In fact, studies are showing now. I've begun to take a few notes because I want to make sure that I give you everything that I research, everything that I study. I want to make sure I give it to you just as it is. So there was a recent study done that simply says this. Approximately 70% of people fail to achieve their goals for one reason, because they can't stay consistent. Did you hear what I just said? Only 30% of people in life, in the world, based on this survey, have the fortitude and have the consistency available in their lives that helps them to reach their goals. Now, if I were to be honest with you, the reason why over the years my weight has gone up and has gone down, then back up, then back down. In fact, let me just be transparent. I've been doing good for about 3 weeks. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 weeks. This past week, man, I've been out of town. I've taken a couple of family mini vacations. And because of poor planning, let me say that right. Because I've been lax in planning properly for my trips, I've eaten out. I've eaten things I had no business. I mean, I had a big old nice fluffy pancake in San Francisco just 2 days ago. That's not on my meal plan. But because I didn't plan properly, that hindered me from being able to be consistent. So if we're going to kick off the day right now and start taking notes, I want to remind you that the first way to be consistent in anything that you want to do in life, you got to plan. Yeah, anybody that goes to the gym, anybody that does any kind of workout routine, in order to get results, you got to plan for results. If you're in school right now, if you plan to graduate in 3, 4, 5, it took your boy more than 5 years, but that's for another episode. But you, in order for you to stay on track with your plan to graduate college, high school, or otherwise, you got to have a plan. You got to sit down and be strategic in your approach so that you can then be consistent throughout the program. Hear what I just said. You've got to sit down and be strategic in your approach, and then you've got to plan to work the plan that you put together. But 70% of people fail to reach their goals because they can't stay consistent. And let me tell you where consistency begins. Now, I know this is not level 900, it's probably level 100 information, but I want you to process it like it's level 900, like it's super duper deep. In order for you to stay consistent with any plan that you put in place for your life, for your development, and for your growth, you got to make up your mind that you're going to get it done. Consistency does not begin in the gym. Consistency does not begin in the kitchen. Consistency does not begin in the classroom. It doesn't begin at work. It begins in your mind before you get to where it is that you're going. You got to learn this. In fact, the book that I read every single day is called the Bible. It says this: let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Now, this is not a preaching podcast, but I want to drop this spiritual nugget into your mind for a second. In order for Jesus to go through what he went through, he had to have a strong mind. In other words, before Jesus showed up with his plan to save the world, he had to make up in his mind before he got to planet Earth that he was going to work his plan and fortify his mind no matter what came his way. If you ever get a chance to read the Bible, if that's your thing, if you ever get a chance to read the word, you will discover that all kinds of things came at Jesus to get him off course, to upset his plan, but because he had a strong mind. Hear me out. Hear me out, because there's so many things that are coming at our minds in 2024. What we watch on television, what we see on TikTok, what we see on all social media platforms, what we see in everyday life with our naked eye as we're riding down the road, as we're engaging in relationships or in conversation with individuals, oftentimes that impacts how strong our mind is and how strong our minds can be. The same study goes on to say this. Hear me out. Individuals who share their goals and create a plan achieve 76% of their goals. So in other words, now you got to put yourself on Front Street. Let me come down your road, because in order for me to start this podcast and to get any kind of traction, I had to make an announcement. Yeah. One of the things that I didn't want to do, because if I made an announcement and told somebody I was going to start a podcast, guess what had to follow me making that announcement? I had to actually do what I said I was going to do, or else people wouldn't trust me. So when I came out and I shared my goal, that's my point. 76% of people who shared their goals actually reached their goals. So when I opened my mouth and said, you know what? I told my wife, you know what? I told my best friend, you know what? I told my mama, I told all those who were close to me, guess what? I'm starting a podcast. And then I put it on a worldwide platform on June 5th, 2024. I had to launch. You know why? Because I put it out there. Most people don't want to be held accountable. And go back 2 episodes before, to episode 5, I talked a little bit more about accountability. This is not today's episode, but this point it's applicable for this point I'm trying to make. Most people don't like to be held accountable, so they keep their mouths zipped. Yeah, most people don't like to be held accountable. They don't want you to know what they got going on next. I know a lot of times people say, oh, move in silence. Yeah, moving in silence, I get it, because you don't want people to deter you. You don't want to be distracted. I get that. But if you're moving in silence because you don't want to do what you know you're supposed to do, then guess what? I'm here to let you know. It's a strong statement, but you are out of order. If there's something you're supposed to do to help fulfill your purpose on the earth, if there's something that you're supposed to do to continue to fulfill whatever mission you have in your life, and you're being quiet because you want to delay it, because you think you don't have everything that you need to have, one of the things I've discovered, and this thing called consistency, oftentimes you don't have what you need to fully complete the task or the mission. But as you put one foot in front of the other, the path becomes more clear. As you put one foot in front of the other, I'm a living witness that there are people who will see you making some kind of noise, and they'll say, oh man, wow, you're doing that. Let me support you. And you saying to yourself, wow, I didn't even know that this person, because you weren't doing anything. They didn't have anything to support before you got going. So they never opened their mouths and said, I'm going to support, because what are they supporting? They didn't know that you were actually moving in that direction until you finally got moving. So here it is. The number one reason why people do not remain consistent is because, by and large, the average person is a poor planner. And we're not poor planners because we don't have the skills or the ability to plan. Oftentimes, individuals are poor at planning because they don't like to be held accountable. You know, I've heard somebody say, well, don't nail me down to a time. Let my schedule remain flexible. Because if they don't show up, they don't want you to hold them to it. Oh, I thought you were going to be here at 5. No, I told you, don't hold me to a time. I'll get there when I get there. Now, there are different situations and there are different reasons why. Let me go here as well. Sometimes people can't remain consistent for other reasons. I'm just giving you one reason, but there are other reasons why as well. Sometimes emergencies pop up. I get it. I remember one time I was on a particular diet. And I say diet very loosely because it was a lifestyle change for me. So I remember one time I was trying, in fact, on my lives on Friday, I talk a little bit more about how I lost 100 pounds at one point in my life. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much I gained back, but I lost 100 pounds at one point in time. I can remember on one of my one season in my life where I was trying to lose that weight, I can remember I got sick. I got sick because what this diet was requiring and asking me to eat or not eat, it was doing something to my system. So that threw like a little bit of a pivot in my way, because now I wasn't planning for that. So I had to pivot and do something else. So sometimes obstacles show up in our quest to be consistent that we didn't plan for. Sometimes we try to do something in our lives and we try to reach certain goals, and sometimes on our journey, things show up that we are not ready for. We don't have a backup plan for. We are caught off guard, and I get that. And I always tell people this, and I'll share this with you as well, because I don't think, and I know for a fact, that successful people are not perfect. Successful people are people who see themselves veering off the road. You ever been driving down the highway and you hear those ridges on the side of the road? It's almost like you've fallen asleep, or maybe you were texting and you shouldn't be texting while you're driving. Hello. Or maybe something happened, you're having a conversation with somebody and you got really excited and you kind of veered off. Yeah, sometimes in your life, as you're trying to stay on that straight and narrow and go towards your goals or fulfill your dreams, on that journey, sometimes, I know you veer off. But I don't want you to get hung up on the fact that I didn't remain consistent for 21 days or I didn't remain consistent for 30 days. I want you to rejoice in the fact that you had enough discipline to where you saw yourself getting off course and you got back on course. Consistent people are not perfect people. Consistent people are not robots. Consistent people didn't come from another planet. Consistent people see themselves getting off course and they say, you know what, this is not according to my plan. In fact, one of my good buddies, who's a fellow podcaster, he says this. He talks a lot about finances and money, and he says, "Man, oftentimes in life, when something comes up that's not in my budget, I never have to say no or yes to myself. My budget will tell me." Yeah. In other words, if there's a purchase or I'm walking through the mall, and if there's Amazon Prime Day, which is coming up in a few days, if there's something that's coming up, and all of a sudden I get this impulse that I want to spend money that's not according to my budget, I don't have to tell myself no. My budget will tell me no. Oftentimes in life, if you set your goals, if you put your plan in place, if you've made up your mind, if you're veering off course, more oftentimes than not, your vision and your goals will let you know if you're getting off course or not. So here it is. I took a few more notes. People that have challenges with remaining consistent Here are some common barriers that we face: lack of clear goals, lack of planning, hand in hand, procrastination. What are you waiting for? I don't subscribe to this idea that I'm waiting for the perfect time. Now, there may be some times that are better than other times, but there's no perfect time. Oftentimes, you just got to dive in there head first, or 2 feet first, or whatever analogy you want to put out there. Oftentimes, you just got to jump in and swim. My little boy is 3. Man, he's a joy to raise. Let me be fully transparent. It's not easy, but it's a joy. The good outweighs the challenges. And the other day, I think it was around one holiday that just passed. I can't remember which holiday it was. I want to say it may have been July 4th. We were in a swimming pool, and he put on floaties because he's 3. One of the things that's interesting, as I saw him in the water, he's doing his thing. He's like, "Daddy, Daddy." He puts his head under the water. He pulls it back out. "Daddy, I was swimming." Now he's not swimming. He has on floaties. He's kicking his legs. He's not really moving. But he has this goal in his mind, this vision in his mind that, hey, I want to swim. And when my wife and I got in the car, we simply said to ourselves, man, what are we waiting for? Why are we procrastinating? This boy has a goal of swimming. His goal is he wants to learn how to tread that water. So sometimes procrastination gets in the way, and that clouds our ability to properly manage our time. So even as we think about the fact that we're waiting on the proper time to do some things. And let me say this, because oftentimes, I do find individuals who sometimes put the cart before the horse, in so much as they may try to open a business without having their money in order. I'm not saying that you should do that. What I'm saying is, what steps are you taking every day towards your goal? It may not be time just yet to open the doors of your new restaurant, but are you doing things today to move toward? What are you? That's a part of procrastination. I'm not saying that, hey, you should quit your job tomorrow and become this business owner. No. There's a proper season for everything, but there's never a perfect time to start working toward that goal. So individuals who have difficulty staying consistent are oftentimes procrastinators. And sometimes they just lack straight up motivation and discipline. In other words, it's almost like sometimes when at the beginning of the year, the gym is packed. People are simply motivated to engage in physical activity to help them reach their health goals for the year. And so the gym is packed. 2 weeks later, it's not as many people. 4 weeks later, it's really dropping. 6 weeks later, most of the people that were there or that were new on January 1 are no longer there by Valentine's Day. Now, they were motivated to start. Don't miss this. But they didn't have the discipline to keep going. You see, I engaged in motivational speaking. In fact, as I may mention to you, this week I'm kicking off my back to school uplift speaking tour. In fact, if you are a decision maker for a school district, if you're a decision maker for a company or organization, my information is in the show notes. I would love to support and to come in and motivate, not only motivate your team, not only motivate your students, not only motivate your teachers, your staff members, but I like to leave strategies, tools, and tips, actionable tips, to help them take the motivation and turn that into discipline. Don't miss what I just said. Motivation keeps you going, or motivation gets you started. But discipline, hint, hint, Atomic Habits, the book of the month, discipline and habits keep you moving. Motivation gets you excited. Oh my goodness, I never heard about this. Oh man, I should start this new program. Oh man, I should go back to school. Oh man, oh wow. And we get excited when we're motivated. People come on my timeline and man, I look at their whatever speech they're giving. I'm like, man, I'm pumped up. Let me go try this. Let me go do this. Let me go eat this way. Let me go purchase this. I'm motivated. But do you have the habits and the discipline in place? Hear me out. To get you out of bed even when you're not motivated. Woo. Consistency does not rely on a motivational speech. Consistency, its foundation is rooted in the habits and the discipline that I formed to help me go towards the goal and the dream that I have for myself and for my family. But that's an obstacle, a hurdle that we've got to be willing to cross on the road to being more consistent. Robert Collier says this, and I quote, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out." Yeah. Success is the sum of small efforts. I think Robert Collier and James Clear on the same team. We repeat these small successes, these small efforts day in and day out. And before long, as you remain consistent, as you remain dedicated, as you remain disciplined, you'll start seeing results. Yeah. As you make up in your mind that I'm moving toward this goal, I'm moving toward this dream that I have. I've got my vision board. I've got to take my vision from a board to reality. And you do that by ensuring that you're in position and that you're no longer procrastinating. You no longer look at your time as just some kind of whatever that you have the luxury to waste. You don't have time to waste. So I'm going to encourage you, if you're going to remain consistent, learn how to manage your time better. Learn how to plan and strategize better. And stop leaning on motivation to get you through tough times, but lean into habits and discipline to help you get over those mountains and those hurdles. Every day is not easy. I'm glad it's not, because there are some things that you and we learn during times of difficulty. There's some pain that we go through when things are not are not looking the best, that teaches us lessons and gives us strength that we need during those difficult times to move forward and to be exactly who we were born to be. Thank you so much again for tuning in to today's show. I hope that today's show really, really blessed your life. I'm really hoping that what I shared today will help you remain more consistent, not just more motivated, but an individual who's motivated towards going and developing the habits and discipline that you need to be everything that you were born to be. And I hope that you go down to the link in the show notes and pick up a copy of Atomic Habits, our book of the month for the Grow Squad community. Listen, there are those who have already won their free copy. The way that you can win a free copy is you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts, you've got to you got to subscribe as well, and send me a message, eugenehamiltongroup@gmail.com. Send me a message letting me know I want my book, that I'm claiming my Atomic Habits book. I want my free book, and tell me why you want the book, what you think it's going to do for your life as you move forward. Shout out once again to those who have already gotten in line to win their book, to get their book, and they got also a bonus. So don't miss out. There are individuals who won this book already that have also got a bonus. So hit me up today, eugenehamiltongroup@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.